Okay, shout out Thomas for this idea. I just recorded the video the other day of my top 10 favorite talents in Ravenswatch, and today I am going to do my top 10 least favorite talents in Ravenswatch. The top 10 for most favorite were the ones that it's hard to not pick those every single run if you see them. I almost never take these. I never want to take these. These are always skips. Normally if it's this and something else, it's very likely a reroll. I don't have honorable mentions here because I really wanted to limit it to the ones that I think were the worst, that I just really struggle finding a use for. I did order these as well on the end, like what do I think is the least useful versus what's like the most useful. It's tough, but yeah, these are all going to be terrible talents in my mind. So the first one that I have up here is explosive builds on Japetto. Explosive builds was really disappointing to me because it was the final talent that they added for Japetto. It was the last one, and I was really hoping that there was some talent that could, you know, maybe tie his special together, let you have a bit of a special build, or potentially tie unstable cores. Just allow different things that Japetto has to be able to use more efficiently. The only thing explosive builds does is make twin dummies a little bit better of a take, so that you actually, when you throw two down, you get explosive builds twice. Sometimes take this if I am doing unstable cores, just because unstable cores doesn't really need a whole lot. There's not too many talents you go for, but it's mainly just that this talent was disappointing to me as the final talent introduced for Japetto. I really wish and hope that if they do rework talents, this is the main one that gets a rework, because it just really doesn't do a whole lot for your build. By the end of the game, it's not that much damage. Okay, up next is Bladestorm. Bladestorm is here, special spins 2 more times. Let me actually make sure I'm on this so I can increase that. Special spins 5 more times for 100 damage each at legendary. I really don't like Bladestorm for a couple of reasons. The idea of Bladestorm is fine, and what I wish Bladestorm did was special spins 5 more times for 100% more damage each. I wish it kept it in the same duration that your base special was. The issue with this that I find is that you spin for so much longer. They do give you more iframes. I think you get like 2 more spins of iframes, but what happens is you use this and you want to use it in a big group of enemies to get the most damage out of it. Enemies walk forward, like the first guy starts attacking, so you use your Bladestorm to iframe, and you'll be spinning, and then as you continue your spin, the other enemies start attacking, but if you want to get the full damage off, you got to stay in the middle of them, and you end up just sitting there as all of this damage comes off at once, and you're just kind of setting yourself up for doom, especially if you're fighting something like bubble crabs, and they start to bubble at the end of your Bladestorm. You just kind of put yourself in damage. There's also stuff like Fiery Seismo that is decent, and you're now delaying Fiery Seismo for longer. If you do take Ring of Dispel and you want enemies to be vulnerable, you can dash through them, and without Bladestorm, use your special and still hit the enemy with vulnerability. But when you take Bladestorm, it lasts long enough that they're not vulnerable by the time you slam. So it's just like, this talent doesn't do a whole lot. If they did condense it down into the same amount of time, but you just have more spins in that time, I do think this would be a better talent, but in its current state, I really don't like it that much. Okay, next up is Puncture on Carmela, and at Legendary, each enemy passed through by dash earns 14 blood. I don't think Puncture is necessary, because I think if you play Carmela efficiently, then you shouldn't need this. The only area where Puncture might come into play is if you have no special cooldown or no special charges and you're going to power build by Act 3. And I think you're playing Carmela wrong if you don't have that, and if you don't have that, your build probably just isn't that good at this point, and I think taking Puncture to fix it isn't really worth it. And so you look at Puncture and you're like, oh, this is like good in a dash build, right? Because if you have multiple dashes, you could build your blood up really quickly, but there's not a whole lot of reason in a dash build to have blood. You don't need blood in Carmela's dash builds. Because you might be dashing to get a special off, but if you're using like Eternal Rose or something, that extra crit chance only lasts for 2 seconds. So if you build up all these dashes, then go use your power and you're doing a power build, that crit chance is all going to fall off and you're not really going to get the use out of your Eternal Rose. So my issue with this talent is the build that you would be investing to get a lot of blood out of it doesn't need all the dash charges, and if you are playing the power build and you need more blood, I think you should just have more efficient uses of your power, set yourself up better so that you can hold on this power for longer, get one really good use out of your power, and save your blood. They also buffed Carmela's blood generation with her attack, so I don't really find that I'm ever too low on blood, like multiple times through a run, to where Puncture would have solved my issues. So This is a talent that I can see it having its uses, like if you're level 9 and you've been struggling, or if you just hit level 9 and you've been struggling the entire time, then you could pick up puncture. It might help out a little bit, but I really don't think it's doing that much for your build. Okay, next up is Protective Crown, where trait grants 7 shield for 6 seconds to all heroes around for each enemy hit up to 4 times. I think if you're playing Snow Queen and you're going a shield talent, you're just going to take Ice Shield, you self-proc it on yourself, and it's a lot more shield, and you could self-proc it very easily and very quickly. So I think in solo play, Protective Crown is almost never worth it. The reason why it's up here and not towards the end as like more useless is it is shield, and shield is pretty good, so there is some uses to it, but it's just like not that much shield. And I also think in co-op it's not that great of a shielding talent. I think there's other characters that have better shielding talents, like Beowulf's Battle Cry, like Romeo's, I don't know, one where you use your defense and you block something and it shields everyone. There's better shielding talents that characters can take if you do want one of your other heroes to be supporting with shield. And I just think Protective Crown, while it is a really easy one to trigger, it's just not that much shield. So it's like I really don't see this being that useful in a run, and I think you're better off taking something to help your damage, or just help support your team more. And I think Ice Shield, even if Ice Shield is harder to proc on teammates, I think being able to proc it on yourself and give yourself more shield more often, and as you need more often, is going to be better for your team overall than just a little bit of shield to everyone. Okay, next up I have Seductive Provocation, which honestly I maybe should have switched this with Puncture. I think this is maybe a little bit more useful than Puncture, but in combat, standing still makes Carmela seduce up to 5 non-boss enemies, the Zet legendary, in front of her, applying weaken and vulnerable for 6 seconds, has a 6-second cooldown. Now, again, we all want this to work with power, and if it does work with your power, then I think it's a very good talent. It would almost be an always take in the power build. This would be incredible. Why it's bad is standing still while not using your power is generally a mistake in this game. Like you really shouldn't be doing that in the midst of combat. You also need to be facing the enemies, so like you can't run away and stand facing away as you're running away. Like you'll have to run away and then press the arrow back towards the enemy, or use your controller to face back toward the enemy. I don't know, it's kind of weird to apply it in that sense. And the fact that it only starts off with 2 enemies at common and you have to upgrade it to legendary just to make it 5 enemies, like that's such a bad legendary upgrade as well. Like the legendary upgrade is not really doing that much for you. I prefer the time to be extended on it and just have it like a base maybe 3 enemies, but you upgrade the time on it. This talent, though, I was almost not going to put this talent on here because they did say, I'm pretty sure they did say that they will be reworking this talent completely, and I don't think reworking it to make it work with power, but I just think they said they're going to make a brand new talent completely. So if you are watching this video much later, this might not even be a talent in the game. Vulnerable and weaken is really good, so I do see some use in standing still and applying this, especially if you have, like, say you're in chapter 2 and it's a corrupted null. That might be worth applying and then going in for a special bite and setting up with your power, but you're just doing so much to get this to work when you could just be attacking the enemy, probably making up for the amount of damage that you would be for making them vulnerable. I don't know, I hate this talent. Okay, this one, I hate this talent so much, man. Dream Scimitars. While enchantment is active on blades, attack has a 70% chance of earning Aladdin a dream shard upon enemy hit. This is an okay talent if you are level 8, 9, and you have your build set up and you're just missing something from your shop and you got to go clean up the rest of chapter 3 to be able to buy, something extra from your shop. You might get a few dream shards from it. Why I hate this talent so much is I feel like it shows up for me so much at level 2. It's like, hey, money talent early level 2. Say for Wukong, Fiery Golden Eyes. It's a decent level 2 if you're confident with Wukong. If you're confident with Wukong, take it at level 2. You're going to earn yourself more money through the entire rest of the run. And if you know how to handle the camps, you can play until you're level 3 and then try to get a really good level 3 talent to help you with your damage. Aladdin really does not want to play his level 1 base kit longer than he has to. He really wants a good level 2 that you can build and start taking advantage of, something like Leaping Strikes or Sword Jin or Tornado Jump, something that's just going to help with your build direction. This slows you down so much and provides hardly anything for you. At level 2, you're going to have bad enchantment generation as well, so you're not going to be proccing this that often. It really just slows you down, and I hate how much this slows you down because the payoff sounds like, I think people like the idea of this, but it's very much a trap to me. It's going to slow you down way too much. I've seen people take this and not be able to make it out of chapter 1 because of how slow they were, and they hit level 3 with 9 minutes left in their chapter, 8 minutes left in their chapter, just because of how little damage they were doing because they took this. So this is a trap talent. Do not take this. This is the other one on Aladdin. I wish if they were to rework one talent and make it something completely different, it would be this one in my mind. Okay, speaking of talents that need complete reworks, evisceration. Each combo spent by power applies 14% damage dealt in the form of bleed. This is the final talent similar to explosive builds. This was the final talent introduced for Scarlet, and it's one that I have a lot of confusion with. I think they just added it because they were adding bleed with Carmela, and so they wanted to have bleed exist in other areas of the game, but there's nothing in Scarlet's kit that this really synergizes with. Now, yes, I do understand energy gives you more combo points, and more combo points is going to make more of the damage from power apply as bleed, but it just, I don't know, like it's counterintuitive to the power builds with Scarlet, because say you want to really force the power build and you want to go Devourer. Devourer says like when you kill an enemy with power, it resets your power. Meaning, ideally, you're not going to be building your combo points because you're just going to be using your power on like smaller enemies, or you have enough power charges in Baylor's Eye that you can one-shot without combo points. And that's my own issue with Devourer as well. I think Devourer is a terrible talent, but you should be killing them with Devourer. And I'm pretty sure if the bleed kills the enemy, you don't get Devourer to proc, like you don't instantly reset your power. So bleed is just such a, or evisceration is just such a weird one to me. I don't think I've actually fully tried it with energy and seeing if it pops off with energy, so that might be something I need to try, and maybe there's some like hidden beauty in this talent, but it really feels like this was kind of just thrown on because of Carmela having bleed. So I would love to see this talent reworked as well. Probably something completely different, unless they can make the bleed synergize in Scarlet's kit another way, like if they add something maybe to energy or something where you get a certain amount of crit chance to bleeding enemies or something like that. I don't know. This talent, just how it exists right now, it's a mistake to ever take this in my mind. Okay, the next talent that I think is kind of... See, this talent, maybe it should be higher because it's not entirely worthless, but I just hate taking this talent. In Sing Stance, Melusine, and this is at Legendary, gains temporary 10 armor every second, up to a maximum of 100. Now, yes, if you're playing this with Sea Dance, you can teleport around and keep this armor up more often, but I don't like the idea of talents that you don't want active. Say like Father Time's Hourglass, you know, the lower your health, the more cooldown you have. I don't want that effect to ever be active. And so this is an effect that's saying build up your armor so that when you take damage, you take less damage. I'd rather not take damage. I understand having armor in the game for when you take damage, but I don't want that from one of my talents. I can see the idea, and I've done this build before with Febreze, where I took Shimmering Scales, I took Dragon Hide so that when I got lower health, I would get more armor. So I would be really, really tanky once I got to low health. And I took Black Lotus and had Wisp Surge to, you know, boost my attack speed. And I just stood in Sing Stance the entire time with a lot of armor and healed through Black Lotus. I think it was a Baba Yaga fight where I never left Sing Stance. I just tanked all the hits. You can do that. That is like so gimmicky, where you could just be doing so much more efficient things with Melusine than taking Shimmering Scales. And again, this is another talent similar to what I said with Dream Scimitars, where you take this, like if this shows up at level 2 and you take this, you just completely trap yourself. You're like, oh cool, I'll have armor, I'll be more tanky and stuff, but it's just such a bad take for you. Okay, up next is Wish of Omnipotence. Now they did rework this, and I have only taken this I think one time since they did rework this. It is a starting talent. I also think it's a little unfair of me to take starting talents because it's really easy to say, hey, this starting talent is bad, you should never take it because there's a better starting talent, but I think this has never been more true than in this case with Aladdin. So casting Wish grants Omnipotence to all nearby heroes for 14 seconds. During Omnipotence, all heroes' power, special, defense have a 0.05 second cooldown. Omnipotence is a really good effect. You should never really be using this efficiently in my mind. Like Omnipotence is a good effect on Wukong's level 10 on Transfiguration. That's a great effect on Wukong's ultimate. But on Aladdin, I want to use my wishes for consumables. So that's in the start of the game, and I'm not really getting any benefit giving my dudes Omnipotence as we're in the starting circle. Now say you don't want to play that on Aladdin and you want to use it on a heal. You just full heal your team. Yes, I guess you could go in after that on a full heal, but ideally you just fully heal your team. Hopefully you guys have the health where you don't need like some desperation Omnipotence to clear the camp if you just got full healed. Now lastly, the Damaging Wish. You could use it on the Damaging Wish on like, hey, we really need to go in here, but I just think the Damaging Wish is such a waste of a wish on Aladdin. I don't think you should be using the Damage Wish on Aladdin ever. I think if you have to use the Damage Wish on Aladdin to get through camps, I think you're so far behind already. And maybe there it makes some sense as a little bit of a way to catch up. You know, you use it because you are far behind, and you say, hey, we really need to clear this camp and maybe go hit another camp before the chapter ends. But I don't know, maybe if you just started off the game with 3 wishes and consumables, you would have started off with, you know, 12 damage or some crit chance, crit damage, and you would have been snowballing already and clearing your camps rather than helping out one camp. I don't know, I just like, I hate this. I hate this so much. And the other reason is you have Ginya's Gift on Aladdin, which can grant another consumable to your full team or to yourself. And you have Jin's Might, which is another great choice if you're going power build. So it's just so hard to ever take Wish of Omnipotence, and it might be my least chosen talent in the entire game. So yeah, it's got to be up here. Okay, and then the grand winner of terrible talents in my mind is Explosive Rats, and I could actually do this now because this isn't a starting talent, or I don't feel as bad because it isn't a starting talent. When it was a starting talent, I think it was never the take in Rat build, because I think Freezing Trap was the take for Rat build. I think Freezing Trap still might be the take for Rat build, but Horde is a much better choice if you really do want to focus Rats. Rats explode when they die and deal 10 damage all around. This is okay. This is an okay talent if Stimulant Vibes doesn't exist, and I feel like I have to go to Stimulant Vibes, so let me just click that. Rats cannot die within Special Zone, and they deal more damage. Rats cannot die. Rats explode when they die. Rats cannot die. Rats explode when they die. Rats cannot die. You want to have enough special charges and cooldown that you can always have a special down, so that your rats always exist and don't die. Because if your rats are always, say you're in a boss fight and they always exist and are always doing damage, you're always doing damage. If you don't have Stimulant Vibes and you have Explosive Rats, you send all your rats out, they all die and explode, your damage has now just completely tanked and fallen off for Explosive Rats, which isn't even that much damage to begin with. The extra 20% that you're getting from Stimulant Vibes is already probably a better source of damage. You know, that's 3 hits per rat, but now they get to live forever. This talent, it just like doesn't make sense in the rat build. And the one build where it sounds like it should make sense, it doesn't make sense. Maybe you could have like change this from exploding rats to like mutant rats, and every 3 bites or something, they do a little explosion around them, and just word it like that. Every 3 bites, because that's normally when they would die, the rat explodes, like has an explosion around them. So that if they are in Stimulant Vibes, they can just keep on biting and like keep on triggering these explosions, and maybe they're these weird mutant rats that exist through explosions. I don't know. This talent, it's terrible. Don't take it in your rat builds. If you get it at level 2 and you're going Horde, don't take it. It's not good. Try to get Invasive Blast, try to get Stimulant Vibes, even get Giant Rats. Giant Rats is even better than this, but yeah, this talent is so bad. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was fun talking about the worst talents. I don't think I have footage for any of these, so I do need to go record footage for all these talents now, which is going to suck. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll catch you later. Peace.